Alright, hello everybody. Today I'm just going to be running a couple rifts, and after that I might try to push a few greater rifts up. Right now my gear is stuck at greater rift 10 sadly, but hopefully during this period of time I can get a couple of the stuff I need to progress. I've played for probably about 3 or 4 hours on the season so far. I ended up with a good bit of stuff. Sadly, I'm running a Fletcher's Pride just because it's ancient, because this season we have Legacy of Nightmares as our set. And Legacy of Nightmares is for every ancient item you have equipped, you gain 750% increased damage, and I think it's 5% damage reduction right now. Something like that. So, I don't have any other set pieces equipped, so its effect is in play. Everything I have equipped is ancient right now, except for this and this. I will get into explaining the build as we go through a couple rifts, and I'll talk about what I need to make this work a little bit better. Again, right now I'm just going through Torment 10, and I've got 3 to 4 hours in this season, maybe 5. So we use, as of right now, we're using Bolt for quick dashes because I don't have the right pieces of equipment to move a little bit faster in regular rifts. Namely, Restarian arm guards are a really good pickup for that. Along with that, Avarice Band would be a nice pickup because you can throw Gold Wrap on for defense and then just forget about ever dying in the rift with Boon of the Hoarder. I will be leveling up a Wreath of Lightning soon because the Wreath of Lightning will give me 25% increased movement speed. And to get to talking about gear that I actually need, I need an Ancient Manual of Channeling. Right now I only have a regular one, sadly. And I will need an ancient pair of Nemesis bracers to speed things up. I need a Valhalla's Behest. Valhalla's Behest, as an item effect, increases your strafe damage by up to 100% as something that you can roll on there, and it also makes it to where when you strafe, your projectiles pierce. We're mostly going to be using it for the 100% damage increase to strafe. The other item I need is the Kamar Tanklers. Its effect is it gives you the Drifting Shadow, I think is what it's called. And that rune allows you to move at 100% of your movement speed, which will speed things up a lot. It also has the ability to give up to 100% increased damage to strafe. If I get those two items, my damage will increase by quite a bit. A Mantle of Channeling gives up to 25% more damage while using, for this current build, Strafe, and it gives 25% damage reduction, increasing survivability. For our skills, we're using Vengeance Seath. Seath gives 10 HP, or 10 hatred regen per second, which helps support us strafing forever. We're using Vault right now, but that will switch to Smokescreen once we get a Kamar's Tanklet. That is ancient. We also have Phantom Knives Bladed Armor for extra defense. When pushing, I'll probably put a Lord Greenstone Fan into the queue. Lord Greenstone Fan will allow me to take down higher level bosses without too much trouble. I am using Companion Wolf for an extra burst of damage. I have Marked for Death Valley of Death to allow for just extra damage in general. It's an extra 15% to all enemies in an area, so it's a good add-on. And then right now I'm using Strafe Demolitionist with the Grenadier passive to do extra damage, as well as to have good area of effect. along with that line of using grenades, I'm looking for an Ancient Hellcat's Waistguard this season to really help push. For legendary gems I'm using right now, I am using a Bane of the Trapped, I'm using a Teguk, and I'm using a Pain Enhancer. Once I level up Wreath of Lightning, I will be using Wreath of Lightning in place of Pain Enhancer. Wreath of Lightning is a 25% increase in movement speed once it's level 25. So it's a really good way to move a little bit faster in these rifts. It won't be too necessary though to have Wreath of Lightning equipped once I'm pushing, so I probably will switch back to Pain Enhancer, or I will put on a Bane of the Stricken to take down written bosses. In my cube, I have a Cinder Coat right now to decrease the cost of fire-based skills by 30%, which is another reason why I'm using grenades on Strafe. And I'm using Dawn. Dawn increases the ability, decreases the cooldown of Vengeance by 60% once in the cube. Or 65%, sorry. And I'm using Convention Elements. It rotates between all elements on a character's set of skills that they have available to them as a character. And during that time frame in which it's activated for each element, it gives 200% increased damage to that element. So, very, very good. The build I'm running right now, while I want to try to push with it, will probably cap out over Greater Rift 70, maybe 80 for now, until I can do a little bit more updating, some theory crafting, but I hope to be able to push into the hundreds with it. While I know that that's unlikely, it would be preferred. And towards the end of the season, as Paragon levels get higher and my gear becomes primal, I should be able to do it. Especially because with the Legacy of Nightmare season, you end up with 2 extra ring slots, which allow you to gain a decent amount of damage, as well as survivability. So this build has its potential. And in my Templar, I'm going to be giving him some stuff soon. Right now, he's just there. So, I will be playing this season pretty frequently. If anybody wants to add me as a friend or just play with me, just let me know. I think some point during the season or after the season, I might even start getting Path of Exile if any of you play it or are fans of it. So let me know about that too. Maybe we can get together and start a character together. Have a little bit of fun, right? And then streaming. If any of y'all are interested in a stream ever, just, I will try to start streaming once or twice a week on the weekends. Possibly more if there's interest. Just in general. Alright, so, I want to pose a question to all of you who watch this. Just answer down in the comments below. But, if you had to find one animal in the world, right? And, you know, it's a normal animal, even insects, right? And all of a sudden you found one that was the size of a blue whale, per se, or a little bit bigger than that, right? This is a very off-the-wall question, but What do you guys think the scariest animal possible would be for that? I firmly believe it's a lice, because lice are terrifying. Just imagine how much hair that would be infected by one the size of a little bit. All the hair in the world. Just would be free. Now, if you guys have a different thought on that, say something. Let me know. I think that this could be a very interesting topic of conversation. So, I do have a couple things that I would like to talk about as well. And I know it was a little quiet there, I'm sorry about that. I was just trying to get my thoughts in order. This is my first actual video that I'm posting, so I'm pretty sure the quality's not the best, so sorry about that. Okay. So, recently I've been noticing a really strange thing. Like, just in general. I look around and people seem to be pretty normal. Then you talk to them, and they always get this weird thought process in their mind. Like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just chilling, hanging out, sitting in my room, whatever. Oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, why? Oh, you just seem so lonely. That's like that's their common theme. And it's just strange to me to think that wanting to mind your own business and being by yourself seems to be considered wrong to some people. Well, I understand that it's not necessarily the greatest when you know someone who literally doesn't go out and do anything, but maybe they just like being alone. Maybe they're an introvert. At least that's my thought. I've also noticed that everybody seems to only live on Facebook now. I can't say I'm not much different at times, as I spend 30 minutes to an hour every day on Facebook, or more, probably. Maybe I'm not much better, but I just think it's interesting. Now, for any of those who like comics, I have recently read a couple of comics that I have been enjoying. I definitely enjoyed some of Planet Hulk comics, especially when he came back to Earth in the World War Hulk series. Spoiler alert, I am going to talk about some comics that I have not really paid attention to release dates on, so if you read comics, then I'm sorry if I spoil it, but these should be pretty old. So I really enjoyed the World War Hulk series. You know, starts off with Hulk just chilling around in his, and he gets launched into space by Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, and basically their group known as the Illuminati. Yeah. Great name. Completely original. But, he sees the video, and Hulk himself is absolutely angry. You know, he's mad. Because he literally got sent back, sent from Earth. The place that he saved multiple times, stuff like that. And he goes out. He kind of starts beating on the thing, you know. Let me out. I'm angry. Doing his Hulk thing. Well, it sends him off course to a place that we will come to know as Planet Hulk. Just to name it. Simple to talk about, right? That's not his actual name. His actual name is escaping me right now, actually. But, so, he goes there, and he gets captured pretty much right away. Gets shocked, some other stuff, you know. Can't really do anything about it. Just stuck. Which makes Hulk angry. And he gets shoved into some gladiatorial combat, and the king of the planet shows up. And Hulk attacks him, you know. Hulk was gonna go free. He won his combat, you know. He was ready to become a citizen. But he fought the king. Evil king gets mad and keeps going to fight him. In which Hulk obviously wins. He gets stopped by someone else though before he can kill the king. So he wins the king. The king then knocks Hulk out using a, I think, sonic attack. And Hulk gets sent through more gladiatorial training and combat. Great. Through this, Hulk makes some, what you could call, friends. And he proceeds to kick more stuff around, killing more stuff, just beating more stuff in general. Which works out quite well for him. Eventually, he wins his freedom, like actually wins it, and an army rises up behind him. Of all the people being oppressed by the king and whatnot. And they go to fight the king, eventually. You know. Hulk kills the king. Everybody realizes Hulk is basically supposed to be the new king. So Hulk takes over as the new king and everything's all peaceful like. And, you know, things are going well for Hulk, you know. He gets himself a girlfriend, gets married actually, gonna have a kid and stuff. But one of his followers just doesn't like this. One of his followers wants the angry Hulk, wants Hulk to keep killing, keep murdering, destroying people, because some of the old King's faction is still around. And Hulk let them live. You know, they're doing community service and helping build stuff now. But they also don't like him because, well, Hulk killed their king. So one of Hulk's followers basically gives them the keys to Hulk's ship that he landed on. You know, and has them place a bomb inside of it. Hulk is near his thing with his wife, and the spaceship then basically starts counting down to self-destruct. Hulk throws the bomb, trying to get rid of it. And it completely kills everybody around him, including his wife. This makes him mad at the humans, just angry, you know. So Hulk suits up, so to speak, puts on his new kingly armor, goes together with his gladiatorial followers, and goes to Earth. Lands on the moon, meets the Inhumans, and absolutely destroys them. The second strongest man in the world, well, you know, gets absolutely destroyed by Hulk. Can't do anything. And Hulk uses that to send a message to everybody on Earth. That he wants Doctor Strange. He wants Tony Stark. And he wants Mr. Fantastic. And as long as those three give themselves up, nothing will happen. But the second those three don't, this will happen to all of New York. And he will continue going. He will destroy the world if those three don't give themselves up. The three of them get together, and all the heroes of the world basically start getting together to fight him as he shows up in New York. You have Ghost Rider, who tries to fight him and fails miserably. So the actual ghost of Ghost Rider shows up and doesn't fight the Hulk. You know, he's just like, nope, not fighting the Hulk. Doesn't deserve it. It's not our problem, not our business. Ant-Man tries to do stuff to the Hulk, and he shrinks down, goes inside as the Hulk, and it fails miserably. So Iron Man's fighting Hulk in the Hulkbuster suit, he gets his butt handed to him. Hulk then goes to where Professor X is, with all the young mutants, and asks Professor X, well, tries to ask Professor X about it. And all the young mutants fight him, and which he absolutely destroys them as well. And as Hulk gets madder and angrier and goes through, finally stops Professor X. Professor X willingly surrenders, but the people around him don't. The students, the X-Men, all of them, they don't. They are not pleased in any way, shape, or form with Hulk. They will not let Professor X die. And so, there's this large fight where Hulk beats pretty much every single mutant that Professor X knows. It just doesn't work. So soon, he finally gets to Professor X when Professor X is defenseless. There's only one mutant left and she's crying. She's next to graves of all the young mutants that have died before due to prejudice, discrimination, what have you. You know, just, they're all dead. And Hulk is like, what? What's going on? In his own way. And she's like, you think we don't know your suffering and your pain? We know it well. And she starts going through, talking about all the young mutants that have died, that are there, in Graveyard. And Hulk says, or Hulk talks to Professor X and says, I shall leave you, for your life is already a living hell. And so, off Hulk goes, hunting everybody else down. He makes it to the tower in which the Fantastic Four reside and Mr. Fantastic. Beats the shit out of them. Pardon my language. And captures them. Builds an arena for their combat, their gladiatorial fighting. And sets Tony Stark and Mr. Fantastic, you know, sets them all against each other in battle. So they fight. They fight. Someone they talked to earlier, though. Someone who is known as the most powerful man alive is watching the news. Sentinel. Not Sentinel. Sentry. While he's watching the news, he sees all this going down, and he's not very pleased with it, right? The Hulk's his friend. He doesn't want the Hulk going psycho. But he can't really do anything about it right now. Until he decides to fully let loose. So he does. And him and the Hulk fight to the extent where he literally burns up to supernova and dies. Hulk's knocked out, and that's how it ends. I didn't talk about everything because, well, I think you guys should watch it. Read it. You know. So, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that story time. It could have been better. There's more I could have talked about, I guess. But I think that was entertaining enough for a little bit. Anyways, these riffs were what I was planning to record. And so, there you have it. Have a good day. Another video will be posted soon enough.